Hey, Music City, Joe Crosby here. I want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast, sharing with a friend, or following us on social media. If you have an idea for a new episode or know of a nonprofit leader who would be great to interview, please reach out and let us know. Be sure to visit the website to learn more about today's episode or any of the previous episodes at musiccitygiving.co. And I would also be extremely grateful if you would like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. We've obviously had a bumpy 2020. I took a year off of the podcast because my wife and I had our second child. We experienced and are experiencing a pandemic. We made it through a horrible tornado last spring. But I'm so excited to be back doing the podcast. I'm super excited about our episode today. I actually recorded this episode last March before having my child, so my life is completely different now in so many ways. Today's episode features my interview with Tara Hamilton, the Director of Development and Community Engagement at Thistle Farms. Thistle Farms has been serving Nashville, as well as our state, country, and around the world for nearly 20 years now. Thistle Farms is a nonprofit social enterprise based in Nashville, Tennessee. They're dedicated to helping women survivors recover and heal from trafficking, prostitution, and addiction. They provide a safe place to live, a meaningful job, and a lifelong sisterhood of support. I hope you enjoy this episode, and thank you so much for listening. Welcome to Music City Giving, a show about the unsung leaders and volunteers behind Nashville's nonprofits, foundations, and charitable organizations. I'm Joe Crosby, and on today's show, Tara Hamilton, Director of Development and Community Engagement at Thistle Farms.
So Thistle Farms is an organization that started 23 years ago. It was started by a woman named Becca Stevens. She's still our founder and president today. She's also an acting Episcopal priest, and she started the organization out of a real passion and desire to help women who she had seen in the Nashville area. She grew up here, who she'd seen walking the streets and struggling with homelessness and perhaps working in a way that she wasn't necessarily comfortable with, just to be able to provide for themselves or maybe their children. And one of the things she noticed was that there were a lot more resources available to men, specifically in Nashville at that time, than there were women. Thankfully now that's changed, but it started out as a residential recovery program with the idea being that if you can provide women safe and supportive housing as a first step in her recovery process, it makes the healing from the trauma and the recovery process that much more smooth, because they don't have to worry about where they're going to sleep that night, how they're going to pay their bills. So it's a free 2-year residential program. That's how it started, and that's still the foundation of what we do. The other piece of what Thistle Farms does, besides providing that safe and supportive housing and full recovery support while the women are in the program, is also after a couple of years, Becca noticed that the women were healing. They were healthy mentally. They were doing their 12-step work. They were a part of a larger community. They were really beginning to feel for the first time, perhaps in their life, a real sense of purpose. But they didn't have a way to make money. You know, most of them had either not had jobs before, or if they did, they were jobs that they could no longer sustain, or lack of education from the trauma they experienced. It just wasn't an opportunity for them. And so the idea was born to start a body care product line and a candle line. And so the first product that was manufactured was a candle, with the idea being, you know, we're going to light this candle for the next woman coming in off the street. And so it's a very beautiful part of who Thistle Farms is.
Symbolic,
and it's
almost.
Very symbolic. And we still light a candle here every day. And so the second part of that is meaningful employment. So when the women are here, part of the residential recovery program, at about 90 days, they start doing some workforce development training. And then after that, they have the opportunity to be employed at Thistle Farms. And so that provides the opportunity for some hard skills and some soft skill training, both of which are completely transferable to other jobs should they choose to move on do something different. And then the third part of the mission of Thistle Farms, and it's really one of the pieces that I think's the most beautiful to witness in action, and it's called a lifelong sisterhood of support. So whether a woman graduated from the program in 1999 or she's one of the 9 women who are about to graduate, there is this force between them that just really binds and connects them. And in that community, they have found love and acceptance and support and opportunity. And even when women relapse, and that happens quite often, they know that there's always a safe place for them to come back to. They're always going to be welcome here. They're always going to be accepted with loving, open arms. And that is just a real sense of community that you don't get a lot of places.
How many people have actually gone through the program and completed it?
So we're probably between, the number is a little rough. It's probably between 250 to 300. We have capacity for 28 women at a time, and the number of women who graduate varies. This year, in 2020, we'll have a group of 9, which is the largest group we've had graduate in the history of the organization, and we're celebrating our 20th graduation. And so sometimes it's as few as 2. You know, it depends on who comes in and who makes it through, and we'd love to say that 100% of women make it, but the average addict relapses 8 times before their recovery sticks. And so it makes sense that sometimes we lose a few women, and we're really grateful when they come home.
You know, how is I guess the mission has stayed the same, but, you know, how has the company in general kind of changed as it has grown?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think from a really basic standpoint, when the organization first thought like, hey, we need to do something to make money, and it was kind of, do we make cookies or do we make, other products that the cookies shelf life isn't really great. Yeah. So they decided to start pouring candles, and it started in a church basement and using the same pots that the Boy Scouts used to make chili. And so it was a real community effort, totally led by and run by survivors and graduates of the program and volunteers in the community. And what's happened in the years since then, obviously, I mean, we're going to probably, our budget's probably going to be around $8 million this year. And the earned income we make off of our product sales is just grown astronomically. And part of that is and I wasn't around then, but once the people notice, like, this is something that people feel really good about purchasing, like the women are being healed while they're making it, and people feel good about making a purchase. And so once that idea catches on, it sort of spreads organically. And working on product development to make sure we were using high quality ingredients. And of course that takes some fine tuning over time, and using real essential oils and natural products has really made a difference. And then honestly, in 2015, the board and Becca recognized the need to probably hire someone with a little bit different skill set to come in and make some changes. And so our CEO, Hal Cato, was hired and really was able to take the organization to a place from a business standpoint as a nonprofit leader in the community that I think on a daily basis still shocks everybody who's here, right? Like we know how special we are, and we know how it feels to be here and the good work we're doing, but to feel that massive support from people all around the country and the globe really is just, it's astounding to us. It's a really beautiful thing to be a part of.
In true Nashville form, there are so many organizations throughout the city that offer different kinds of support to women in need. I was curious how Thistle Farms collaborates with these organizations toward their common goal of supporting these women.
Healing is not a competitive sport, right? Like there's enough healing needed that we're all needed. And so we work so closely with the other organizations in town that are doing similar work with women who've experienced trauma. The Sexual Assault Center is a huge partner of ours. They provide a lot of the trauma care that we provide for our women. We have great relationships with End Slavery Tennessee, Safe Haven, who works really to help with the housing piece of it. And outside of that, other nonprofits in the community that provide services we can't provide or maybe wouldn't have access to. So Meharry Medical, Interfaith Dental Clinic, all of those places who have the resources to help really have come alongside us through the years and just provided support in ways that we couldn't have done on our own. We know what we do really well, and that's providing this safe and supportive housing. And we're also smart enough to go out and figure out, hey, where are the gaps and what do we need, and who is doing that really well in the community. And we all get better. We're all doing better work because of that, I think.
As a father of 2 daughters, I live with a constant fear of keeping them safe. There's physical safety and there's emotional safety. I wanted to know how I could help educate my daughters on protecting themselves and how I can help advocate for their future safety.
I think a couple of things. I think unrelated to sort of what to do with future generations, I think now some of the big things are just being aware and being an advocate in your own community. So for people who live in Nashville, obviously there's plenty of options and opportunities to get involved with nonprofits who are doing really great work, whether it's recovery, prostitution, reentry, if someone, is like Project Return, when people need jobs after reentering, Open Table with, people experiencing homelessness. Like the options are endless. So I think that being aware and advocating for things that are important to you in this community is super important. And then also teaching that to your children, right? Like, I'm a parent as well, and so it's educating them and in a way that is really sensitive and empathetic and helps provide the context that we're all 2 or 3 decisions away from the same experience, and so much of what happens in our life can be completely and totally out of our control. And so really approaching humanity with a sense of non-judgment, but also really teaching that to your children and providing them with opportunities to work alongside and care for and grow into their own passions with helping. I do think the school system and other community organizations do a great job of teaching children about how to be safe. Some of the rhetoric that we grew up with about stranger danger and all that, they've really gone away from that, and I think it's super wise. Most of the women we work with, they experience trauma for the first time between the ages of 7 and 11, and most of that is by people they know.
Oh, wow.
And so the idea being that there needs to be a safe place to talk to, someone you can go to if you are experiencing anything as a child that makes you feel uncomfortable, and as a parent, just always being willing to listen to them, even when the time doesn't feel right or even when we're not sure what's going on. Practicing listening to your young children in things that are silly is good practice for them, understanding that you'll always listen to them when they come to you with bigger things.
And on that note, some people, they're able to give financially, some people can give their time. So how can people get involved with Thistle Farms, and where can they kind of go to learn more about the organization?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I encourage everybody to go to our website, thistlefarms.org, to learn more about the organization. Our most recent annual report is on there, which is a really great overview of everything that we did in fiscal year 2018-19, and shows a really great picture. For Thistle Farms, obviously, donations are a huge part of what we do. They completely fund our residential program. They also fund our workforce development and many of the other services we provide. We're happy to report that our sales help provide for the operating expense for most of our operation costs for manufacturing, and so that's a really great financial place to be in as well. But so donations are huge, any size. I love those $10 monthly donors. They get great swag. They're fun to interact with. That their passion and their heart. They're so committed. And so we love those monthly donors here. And we also have really big donors, so that's a big one. Bringing people to the cafe to eat at 5122 Charlotte Pike. Delicious food. Again, all of that money supports what we do here. And employing women. In addition to that, buying our products for either gifts for your home. We have beautiful products that we make right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Everything that's sold all around the country we make here. And then we have global partners who we directly source with as well, who are organizations around the globe employing women as well. And so we cut out all the middle distributors there, and we're able to give like 60% of what their income back to them.
Oh, wow.
And so that's huge for us. And we're also investing a little bit in helping some of those organizations around the globe develop themselves. And so purchase products, make a donation, bring your friends and family to the cafe, order corporate gifts. If you're interested in volunteering, we do have opportunities to do that. And if you want to know more about our story too, we tell it a little bit every Wednesday morning. There's a tour and an opportunity to come and be a part of our community at 9 o'clock. It's open to the public, and we'd love to have anybody join us.
Cool. And as far as the products, obviously people can come to the store to buy them or the cafe, but where else can people actually buy the products?
Sure. All of our products are available online, and we ship all across the country. In addition to that, you can find them in boutiques and stores. Locally, they're in Whole Foods as well, and in some of our local Krogers. I think the last I heard, we've had maybe like 500 boutiques around the country or something that were selling our products, from airport gift shops to little boutiques. I mean, you name it.
Obviously, Thistle Farms is around for a reason. We're offering people, we're offering women a safe place to live, a job, a support system. So how can someone who's actually needs that help, how can they reach out?
Sure, absolutely. So on our website, there's also a form to fill out if you're interested in applying to be a resident at Thistle Farms. Our residential program team monitors those. We do have a pretty consistent wait list of about 100 women. It is sad that exists, but we know that some of those women are willing to wait, and also we're at capacity at 28 right now, and so what we do is we take in the application, and then the residential program team looks over it, and in addition to that, they just ask that people continue to touch base. So about once a week, they're asked to call in and say, yes, I'm still interested in coming. And people are referred from all over. We have women come directly from the Tennessee prison for women, because we have a program that we work on the inside there. And in addition to that, just like this is a healthy and safe community, a lot of the women that come to us had their own community on the streets. And so they reach back for a sister in need, or someone who's still on the streets knows that she's got 3 women here who are, living a life they never thought imaginable, and they want that too. And so, and we also get referrals from the court system as well. So.
Yeah, I noticed there was some good, I don't know if you call it quotes or stories online of some of the people that have gone through it, but what's one of your favorite, success stories that you kind of like to share?
Oh, good grief. There are so many. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's little things. They're not little, but things from people, getting their voting rights restored. Some, because I am a parent, some of the best stories to me typically have to do with the reconciliation of family relationships, or women who, haven't seen their kids in 3 years and get to throw their 2-year-old a birthday party for the first time. Yeah. So we have a resident now who got to throw her kid a birthday party for the first time, and all of the other women residents helped her. And it was just, I know, can you imagine it? Made that little girl's dreams come true. And so those are stories that there's no amount of a price tag that you can put on what that means for that family or for that specific woman. We have a woman now who works in the cafe who just got accepted to go back to Trevecca. So she's going back to school to get her degree. And we just have women who have lived through hell and have done the good work, done the hard work, right alongside their sisters in a community that supports them. And again, they're just living lives they never thought imaginable. And it's a lovely thing to be a part of. Something really exciting that's happened in the last 6 months or so is our commitment to expand our residential program. So for the first time, I think since 2012, we are expanding capacity by 30 to 40%. So we're working on, we acquired some new land with money that we made at the end of 2018 through sales, and working on restructuring some of our current homes, but hopefully in the next 18 months to 2 years, will have increased capacity and be upwards to about 40 women.
Oh, wow.
And we're very, very excited about that. Really work on dwindling that wait list down.